Okay, so before I forget, well, actually, I've already forgotten it. Um, we have to remember that in 1914, Gabriela Mistral actually won her very first writing contest, during a flower festival in Santiago, Chile. And the title of her poetry was Sonetos de la Muerte. It's, I think it's actually a collection of poetry, and the whole thing won the contest. Sonetos de la Muerte. If you translate it to English, it means songs of the dead. So you can actually presume that it's a work of a dark mood, with a dark mood. So that's 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 her very first winning in a literary contest in 1914. Well, anyway, moving on now to imagery and symbolism. We'll be talking about imagery first. Imagery are words, okay? As the name implies, these are a set of words that would make you imagine things. These are words that make you create images of things in your mind. These are words that arouses your senses. And when we say senses, these are the sense of hearing, the sense of sight, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of taste. What else? That's it. Yeah. And emotion and feeling. Okay? Because touch and feeling are two different things. So that's what we mean by imagery. And as I have enumerated all our senses, that's also basically the number of imagery that we have in literature. First, we have visual imagery, words that appeal to your sense of sight. So when you see the words light, dark, large, blue, you could actually imagine them at the back of your mind. And then you have auditory senses or auditory imagery, words that appeal to your sense of hearing. So when somebody says, she uttered slowly, you could just imagine how slowly she said that dialogue. Or when you said, labas sa ilong yung oo mo, you could imagine how the word was uttered by the other person. Quiet or squeal or yell or shout or whisper, things like that are examples of auditory imagery. Next, we have olfactory imagery. Everything, all the words that appeal to your sense of smell. Gustatory, words that appeal to your sense of taste. Okay, so you have juicy, bland, burnt, zesty taste. Tactile are words that appeal to your sense of touch. So you could actually, the physical feeling of touching something, that's tactile. And then you also have the feeling that you feel within you, called organic imagery. And these represent your internal sensation, like hunger, happiness, sadness, contentment, despair, frustration, and all of those things. So, and then you also have kinesthetic, that suggests movement. So when somebody says the leaves dance with the wind, so you could imagine how the leaves actually move with the wind. So swaying, dancing, trembling, pounds on the table. When the writer says the judge pounds on the table, or the wife pounds on the table when they argue. So you imagine how the character hits the table with his fist or with his or her hand. So what I want you to do now is take a look at our poetry and identify all the imagery that you can find. I want you to pause this video and identify all the imagery that you could find. Enumerate and identify which kind of imagery they are. So pause it right about now. Okay, so after you have enumerated all the imagery that you have, I want you now to answer the question, what do you think tiny feet is all about? Because at first reading, it seems to be a very simple poetry. It talks about a child and how tiny the feet are. Very simple. It doesn't really create an impact in you, in us. But when we consider the imagery and there are tons of imagery present in this poetry, when we consider these things, it actually creates a different meaning of the poetry. So I want you now to think, considering all the imagery that you have found, what do you think tiny feet is all about? Answer that question when we meet, and we'll proceed now to the third part of this video lecture. So I'll see you on the next video.